My name is Laura Boscolo. First of all, I'm an executive coach. I'm also an affiliate professor at SAP, and I'm teaching organizational behavior and leadership skill. And I have as a background wide experience in corporates, local and multinationals. I'm graduated in economics, and my past is dedicated. My professional past has been mostly dedicated to underdeveloped countries. So I have been collaborating with the United Nations, FAO, and World Food Program and ONG. So that's the past. But then I moved to business life completely. And 10 years ago, I decided to be dedicated totally to teaching and executive coaching. Expanding a culture of conscious business and support actual and future leaders in leveraging and constructive organizational behavior is for me a passion. It's my passion and it's my purpose, I would say. It's my call in a way. So that's why I wanted to teach, and I'm enlarging more and more the teaching side, the academic side also. Well, up today, it's a kind of a mix of historical tradition on manner management, but there is also an increasing openness toward a more cross-cultural wide. So leadership is now looking over the boundaries, I would say, and so is more and more involved on a side, but also influenced by what is abroad. That was not in the past, actually, not that much. So that's and what is strong here is the willingness to maintain the Italian identity. That's for sure in this leadership, but I would say there is these are the Roca rules, approach. That's the thing. But on the other hand, again, I see this openness. So we now experience the cohabitation of the traditional historical, hierarchic and charismatic and experienced leader running a big family of employees, but also the family, so the parents and relatives. But there's this growing tendency into a more dynamic and cross-cultural one, I would say. I would say I would choose two to identify now what I see that is needed. One is assertiveness and the other one is charisma. Because charisma, more than the so-called power, there was a tradition of power here. But now I don't see this that much anymore. It's more the charisma, it's more the assertiveness that can be can be shown, let's say, or can be used. I think that's not the real good word to use, but I would say these two. I would say, yeah, that there has been this slight change. I was mostly highlight the growing availability in allowing externals. I would say that was not there, not that much, and I mean external to the family membership, and external to run the companies. So not only part of the staff, but to run the companies. If we are thinking about the very traditional Italian company, and so the very traditional Italian leadership. While there is also the other side that is, the multinational world, and so I don't see that much difference in the European style in this case. Not that much, I would say. I was thinking about this question, and I say no. Unfortunately, still have not met any that I can consider to be a pure Italian specialist. As an author, of course, unfortunately. What I can say is that I found interesting the book by Romano Bonfiglioli that I don't know. I mean, he's not a person that I met. He has written an interesting, it is part of a research, but it's also a kind of a tale on some stories about real stories about Italian leadership. and it is on leadership and succession. So I would say hereditary succession. So that was interesting. The title is Leadership e Successione, una vincente storia italiana. So I can translate it. I haven't found it translated. Leadership and hierarchy, succession, a compelling Italian tale, let's say. I think that this is most due to the strong family and culture tradition, but also to the fact that this is still leading to outstanding success. Meaning the family story and the family leadership, it's overall a story of success. So that's why it's kept alive, I would say. And so that's why it's so high till now, even if it is not anymore. If we think about fashion, for instance, fashion is now mostly owned by foreign companies, unfortunately. And that's historical in Italy. So, that's a big change, and it's coming and it's growing. In terms of style, I would not say that we face such a wide difference. It certainly goes with the local culture. I mean, there are slightly difference between cultures because we have a lot of different cultures here. But overall, the main traits are the same, I would say. The difference might be eventually found in terms of company size, not in the style of leadership. And of course, this is affecting eventually the leadership. Usually in the north, companies tend to grow more than in the south, so bigger than in the south also. And in the south, there might be some more attention to the relation inside and outside the company. So what is mostly valued is the relation that are created with the staff and outside the company. So the smaller it is, the most controlled it is. The relation is most controlled. While in the north, the attention is more on maintaining the incomes for the sake of the staff. So if I can see a difference, this is the difference that I can point out. There is definitely a status coming from how a leader dress, what he or she owns, a car, a speedboat, or the last bicycle on the market, and where they meet. So how, where did the meeting are organized, and eventually how the office is refurbished. Well, it depends on this kind of identification, I would say. I would say that unfortunately there is not a strong feedback culture overall. I mean, the pure feedback. Feedback is mostly confused with a critic or a complaint. So I got a strong culture of feedback, and I do. As when I also was an executive, I was really pushing on providing good feedbacks and looking for good feedback. First of all, feedback is not looked for, and that's the first thing. It's more given than requested. It's just we can also collect it to connect back to the thing that to be a leader, I have to have a kind of a stand, and if I look for feedbacks, they can think that I am weak. Okay, so there is more a correlation with feedback. Feedback means wrong, and wrong means weak. Okay, so that is why. So leader stands more to celebrate, but that's the positive side, than to provide constructive feedbacks. So celebration is definitely here. So that's for sure. The celebration is not a feedback, and sometimes this is confused. Well, certainly I would highlight the positive of our culture, the dynamics still in place that limit or enhance the results, and what to add and to value of the Italian leadership identity. Certainly, I will dedicate a chapter to the power and limit of succession these days, because this is very here, I would say. And I would also dedicate a chapter to to the management of generation transfer and change. That's another big thing. Mm. It is a big thing because the generation change now is kind of affecting, in positive and also in negative, the traditional culture, leadership culture in the companies, in the local companies mostly. So there are different needs, there are different mode of operation, there are different way of relating, and of course there are different way of managing people and leading people. And this is sometimes, the old one are trying to keep uh, the tradition, and the new ones are kind of pushing to get something different and something new, and that's a big thing. So there are conflicts based on that, a lot of conflicts, and sometimes this doesn't bring to success. Mm. So that's why I think it is very important, especially into an Italian leadership culture. That's really the point. Actually, that's really the point, and that's actually I would not say that there is a single solution for everything, for every occasion. I would say the need is to go deeper. The need is to help the past to widen their view, but also help the young one to see the positive of the past. And that's the big deal. That's really the big deal. It's possible. I mean, I know situation of success, but it's difficult. It's definitely difficult. I would say that it's still actual. We're working a lot on this. It is more difficult to find the availability of the elders to do that. That's for sure. Uh, but yeah, it's more actual because the generation transfer is now. The generation passage is now, and it has been already. I would say. Yeah. I see. I see where this can come from, but I also would add that this is now most a prejudice than a reality, or a so common reality. I'm not saying that this is not true, uh, but I would not say that this is the sole reality or the majority. I would not quote this as part of the main traits of the Italian leadership. I would say not now, not anymore. Yeah. Well, again, this I would say this is again old-fashioned somehow. So I will say, um, older age is now mostly due also to the academic system. I would say, and yes, actual junior now tend to stay local, and that's probably the issue. It's just partially true. It's not there anymore. It's most a difficulty of the system, I would say, that doesn't help young people to have better opportunity here. In fact, the ones that doesn't want to mostly go abroad. So I'm now an old one because I'm 50. But when I was young, I was at the university and I was started to work from the very first day, for instance, and it was not so uncommon. I mean, I was part of a minority, that's for sure, but it was not so uncommon, I would say. And still, I see young people trying to, but it's not because home, not that much. I would say it's because yes, we tend to stay local, so to stay in Italy. We don't have this culture of going abroad, but mostly also the difficulties is due to the, let's call it, system. Yeah, that's unfortunately true. Italians doesn't speak other languages mostly, and I think that I would add also that yes, it's nice to stay here, but it's also an attachment to the Italian culture of contriving, using relational skills and mostly. work local. I would say it's both sides. You know, it is used to say that we talk with the hand, and talking with the hand means that we tend to, that's for sure, try to solve issues abroad with the Italian language. And unfortunately, we made it. So, you know, there is not the push to learn to learn English. It's slightly changing because word is more and more going English, I would say, but it's just slightly changes. That's true, unfortunately. Yeah, in a sense, yes. When I was answering the question about leadership, what I have said is that the South is more attentive to relations. Mm. So that's why it goes quite together with the sentence of the manager you have interviewed. And yes, the North is more individualistic, but the care is not to have the best relation with, also not to create a family into a company, but to ensure that this family, or so the employees, has got a future into that company. So it's a kind of different thing, right? So in the South, is more, if we go wrong, we go wrong all together, and we're still a family. Okay, so, or if you go right, we go right because we are a family. In the North is more, let's say, more business driven, I would say, and to guarantee an income and to guarantee a long life to the company, also for the sake of the employees, definitely.